Hello everyone, it is Zigzag here and welcome to a very special video. This is the video celebrating 250,000 subscribers on the channel. 250,000 is quite the insane milestone. I'm super grateful for you guys for subscribing, for watching, and of course for giving me the opportunity to do this full time. This is definitely the best job I've ever had. I'm absolutely loving it, so thank you all. And so today's video is a Q&A. I actually received hundreds of questions, I think almost 500 questions, and I've narrowed it down to about 20. Thank you for all the other questions that I wasn't able to include. There were many I wanted to, but we're gonna stick with 20 today. But before we get into that, I wanted to mention my merch drop, which is starting at the same time I release this video. So you can find that linked in the top of the description. And I've got the merch right here. This is what it looks like. There's t-shirts and hoodies, and there are 4 designs available for each. So each of these designs is somehow significant to my GeoGuessr career. This one, for example, is in Andorra, and I think OG viewers of the channel will remember where it's from. And you can go and check out the store link to see what the other designs are like. The t-shirts will be $25 and printed on Gildan, and the hoodies will be $50 US and printed on AS Color. I decided not to go with Gildan hoodies, but AS Color instead, because I think the Gildan hoodies last time weren't the highest quality, so hopefully that's an improvement. And also, if you enjoy the artworks, they're created by Lucy Boutry. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. She's an artist from France who I met at the World Cup and commissioned these artworks from. She's got great stuff, and I'll link her Instagram and website in the description if you're interested in that as well. Give her a follow. Okay, on to the questions. Let's get into it. The first question comes from iSkip, who says, how did you come up with your username? Well, the story behind my username, I've told it a few times on the channel before, but it's been some years now, so let me fill you in. So basically, I was on my grandma's laptop, maybe at around 11 years old, 10 years old, something like that. And I was playing the online game called Pixel Legions. It used to be one of my favorite Flash games. So I got to the end of Pixel Legions and it asked me for a name to submit because I got one of the day's high scores or something like that. And I just sat there. I guess at that point, you know, at that age, I didn't really have a username. I hadn't really made many accounts. So I just thought, hey, Zigzag is a cool word. I looked down, you know, little kid typing. I looked down Z-I-8-G-Z-A-G, and I hit the I and the 8 at the same time. So the 8 in Zigzag is a typo, and I stuck with it because I thought it looked cool. And therefore, that's why it's silent. It's not Z8-Gazag, it is Zigzag. Next question was from Shriraman, and I think this was the most upvoted comment on the entire YouTube post. I tried to pick some of the ones with more upvotes anyway. And they ask, if GeoGuessr stopped existing, what would I do on YouTube? So that's a great question, and obviously something I've thought about before, because the popularity of GeoGuessr could definitely die out at some point. I think it's always going to have a space because it's the type of game that intrinsically interests some people, like chess or something like that, I think. But the whole competitive sphere may fall off at some point. I could definitely see it happening. So I have thought about what I'd like to do, and I think I would definitely just go into geographical videos or just interesting fact type videos, because those things really interest me. And also I think there's a huge market. Like the GeoGuessr market is definitely more narrow than the general geography video market. Of course, I love GeoGuessr, and as a pro player, I'm definitely dedicated to it. So don't worry about me changing anytime soon, but I definitely think that could happen in the future of the channel. Let me know what you guys think about that, because obviously the success of me changing to that would all depend on you guys. So let me know. Adrian asks, what does the average day in the life of Oscar look like? Well, at the moment, I normally get up around 10 a.m., at which point I drag myself out of bed. I am not a morning person in the slightest. And I'll generally have a quick breakfast and then straight off to the gym. I normally gym with a mate. It's a really good start to the day. I'm not the most dedicated in all aspects, but I do try and go at least 3 or 4 times a week. Then I'll come home, watch a few YouTube videos, eat lunch, shower, all that kind of stuff. And my workday normally starts around 2 p.m., which I guess is pretty unconventional, but when you work for yourself, you can do what you want. And the workday itself highly depends on the day of the week. So I try to do most of my filming in the early week, because obviously at the moment my World League games are on Sundays. So I really want to be warmed up for GeoGuessr on the weekends. So yeah, early week I'm doing the content filming. And then later in the week, I'm obviously streaming a lot, but even if I'm not streaming, I'm still practicing and doing all that kind of thing. And yeah, I normally work till about 2 a.m. So 2 p.m. till 2 a.m. sounds like a lot, but really it's not super solid work. I'll obviously be doing lots of fun stuff in between as well. Just depends what I'm feeling like on the day. Generally speaking, I'm quite a procrastinator, but that kind of applies to bigger tasks. When I have something for the day to do, I'm normally pretty decent at getting it done. So I think the system works pretty well. And then in the evening, I'll read a chapter of the Bible, do a prayer as well. I don't talk about it on the channel too much, but that is how I end my day every day. So that is a day in the life of me. Let's head through to the next question here, which comes from the Swedish historian. This one also has 79 likes. How did you find your interest in geography and GeoGuessr. So as for geography, I've always had an interest in countries and history and flags and all that kind of thing. So I would love poring over the world map as a kid, but definitely not as much as some other GeoGuessr players. Like, there are some people I've talked to just while being friends in the GeoGuessr community, and I know that they were geography obsessed. I wouldn't say that was me. I've always loved it though. And then when it got to high school, I actually dropped geography as soon as I could because I preferred history. And that went into university where I studied history, not geography. Now, many of the people I'm connected to in GeoGuessr, pro players, friends alike, a lot of them study geography, but for me, that was never really an option because I only liked certain areas of geography, particularly I would say like social geography. And it's only after I've become a GeoGuessr player that I've become interested in physical geography and stuff like that. Anyway, as for GeoGuessr, I first played that in high school geography class actually, maybe when I was about 14 or 15 years old, so back in 2014-15. Then I may have played it every now and again. It's very hard to remember. When I've played now thousands of hours of GeoGuessr, it's very hard to remember exactly how the timeline goes, but I definitely rediscovered GeoGuessr around 2018, 2019, watching a few GeoWizard videos and being extremely impressed. Then around 2020, I started playing occasionally, and it was the end of 2020 when I bought a subscription for my ex-girlfriend. We started playing together, and eventually I was like, can I play on your account? Now, a little bit of lore is I still play on the same account, so technically it's my ex-girlfriend's account, but obviously the email and name has been changed. So yeah, if you go back to my earliest videos, you can see it had the old username and everything. Kind of fun. Okay, A Glad asks, what is my favorite flag, country, state, province, territory, whatever. I think my favorite flag is actually the Barbados flag. I'm also definitely a big fan of Brazil. I like Namibia as well. It's hard to go past South Africa, definitely an aesthetically pleasing flag, or the Gambia. I really like the Gambia flag, so that would be something like my top 5. Infotrex asks, do I edit my own videos? If so, do I enjoy editing? So at the start of my channel, I did edit all my own videos, and indeed a lot of them were pretty much unedited actually, but now I hardly edit anything. If there's a video that comes out, for example, the Cyprus video recently when Cyprus got released, I'll do that editing myself, but I'm pretty much just doing cuts. Every normal main channel video you see is edited by someone else. So I guess to answer your question, I don't really enjoy editing, and I don't really edit my own videos, which definitely allows me to do a lot more practice on GeoGuessr. So I definitely do see it as a good thing that I don't have to edit. Lele Bear asks, what is my favorite Blade song? My favorite Blade song is Romeo off Ever Since, but I also really like Apple, 2 goated songs. Shoutouts to Blade and the Drain Gang, you already know. I've been listening since 2017. That's kind of wild to think now. We're coming up to a decade that I've been listening to Drain Gang. Henyon asks, when, where, and why did you live in Germany? And I picked this question because I've seen some like misinformation about this actually. But I lived in Germany between 2017 and 18 for 2 months only. People have been saying I lived there for years or something. None of them. And I also studied German in high school and university. That's why I have at least some conversational proficiency in the language. But yeah, I lived in Würzburg, which is a really beautiful city. Definitely a blessing to have stayed there. I really, really like that place. And my German exchange partner, Daniel, has appeared in some of my vlogs in the past. There's actually a whole playlist of vlogs on my channel, so you can go check those out if you want. And he's one of my best friends in the world. Like, we actually got insanely well matched on our exchange. So we've remained friends. And yeah, Germany definitely has a special place in my heart. I like seeing all the Germans come in and support my boy Lenley. And you know, Lenley was my first ever GeoGuessr friend. At least my first ever GeoGuessr friend that still plays GeoGuessr now. So kind of crazy. We met each other playing the No Move Masters League, which was a Reddit league back in 2021. It feels so long ago. If you told us we'd be pro players in the game a few years later, we wouldn't have believed it. I'm telling you, we wouldn't have. Next one here, Seagirly. Do you ever miss studying history and philosophy? They were my 2 majors. And do you ever think about moving to Europe? Thank you. Well, thank you, Seagirly. So, history and philosophy, I do miss those. I think back when I was studying them, I was able to have conversations with people really easily, and the concepts were just much more lucid in my head. It makes sense, right? If you step away from it and like focus on something as solely as I've been focusing on GeoGuessr, you kind of lose your ability to think clearly in some of the other areas like this. I've definitely found that myself. So, I do miss them. And I do kind of feel like just solely focusing all my intellectual efforts on GeoGuessr is making me dumber in other ways as well. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I just feel like, no, I wouldn't have made this kind of cognitive error if I was not filling my mind with bollards and all this other random crap, which you have to remember as a GeoGuessr player. And would I move to Europe? I would. I would move to a German-speaking country because I would like to become fluent in German at some point in my life. But I think real life stuff will keep me in Adelaide for some years, so we shall see. I would like to spend a year or 2 in Europe at some point in my life. I just really don't know. Next one here is from Are You Cuba is the GOAT. And thoughts on UK UK have you been? Well, I've never been to the UK. I've never actually been to Western Europe, like past Austria and Germany. I've never been to the west of Europe. And obviously UK is high on my list to travel to just because I'm basically 3/4 British, you know, generations down the line, but still. And I would really specifically like to go to Wales and Scotland and maybe the national park districts in the north of England. I think that's kind of a natural GeoGuessr player answer. We love mountains and beautiful landscapes, and the UK is very beautiful in its own way when you're not in a housing estate. So I mean, yeah, thoughts on the UK generally positive, I would say, and I would like to visit one day. Next one here comes from Zium. How has the growth felt going from a small GeoGuessr channel a few years ago to one of the biggest and most popular channels in the community? Well, of course, everyone who's a YouTuber starts off small. That's kind of the nature of the beast. So I think every YouTuber who's made it to this level can relate with a similar story. And obviously it feels fantastic. Like, we're now at the kind of subscriber level where I was like, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would get there. Like, I always knew I had the capacity to make it this far, but the fact I've actually had the opportunity to is pretty insane to me. And yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, like, getting recognized, it happens every now and again. Shouts to some of the people I've met on the streets in Adelaide and other cities around the world, but that is definitely a surreal feeling. It's different to how you would think because the interactions are like normally very short, and so it's very like a lot for a moment, and then straight after it's just like back to your ordinary life. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's not how I really expected it. But I mean, generally speaking, it's really fun. I feel very lucky, and I look back with nostalgia at the early days of the channel when things didn't quite matter so much, and I kind of did what I wanted to do a lot. And that's still a philosophy on my channel. I still make videos that I want to actually make. But you know, when you have 400 subscribers, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And you know, it literally took me 6 months, I think, to get to 200 subscribers. So kind of wild to look back. Next question here is from Lena. How many countries have I visited? Okay, let's do the 2025 list. So I've been to Canada, United States I've been to. I'm not going to count stopover countries, so places I've actually been. We're gonna go Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, Slovenia, Austria, Croatia, Bosnia, Albania, Montenegro, Japan, Australia, Indonesia, and I think that's it. So that's 18, and then if you count stopovers, you would add Qatar, UAE, New Zealand, and France. So it's 18 or 22, depending on how you look at it, and hopefully this year I add a few countries to it. GeoDresser asks, if you had to eat only one country's cuisine for the rest of your life, which would you pick? So for me, there are only 3 answers possible here. It's either Chinese, Indian, or Italian. These are the 3 most diverse and best cuisines in my opinion, and I think that I would narrowly lean Italian. Second place would probably be Indian. I think they're very even. I would have to actually sit there and think, I think, before I made my ultimate decision about those 2, but they would be my top 2 regardless. I think probably Italian. I mean, it's just such a diverse and easy to come back to cuisine. Slele asks, what's your setup looking like / room tour? Okay, I'm gonna do it. Things are not the most clean in here. I've not prepared for this in any way, but let's have a look. Okay, so here I am in the corner of the room. I actually upgraded my chair recently, which has been nice. This is the setup right now. So I got a new monitor recently. It's a 360 hertz monitor, which is really nice. I have a pretty interesting setup over here. Like, my camera stand is set up with like a heat pack, like a bean bag over here. My mouse cord is blue tacked to the wall. Do you guys have blue tack in your country? I don't know. There I am. That is the OBS second monitor set up, of course. I have my Australia map, my world map, and my flags map here. I got the big old bookcase with the Sweet Trip album and the Würzburg mug. You already know. Oh, it's very dusty up there, I'm sorry. We got the APAC third place thing, my big world map, actually my Canada map. Has that fallen down? Or I can't remember what happened to my Canada map up there, actually. Bed, of course. I got the LED light in the background. That's been a good purchase, honestly. And then you can see this is the old background from the videos. If you go back to my old videos, this was the exact angle I had, and people were asking what happened to the cross. Well, there it is. It's back. Well, I guess not back. It's been there the whole time. There's my Dalahest. They're from Dalarna, small wooden horse. And yes, that is it. Back to the main monitor. We have John Hensley, who asks, how long did it take to become a pro player? That is a really good question. I think I've been considered a pro player for quite a long time, where if you were my skill back in 2021, right now, you would not be considered a pro. But because the overall skill of the community was so low back then, I was considered a pro. So I guess becoming a pro player did not take me long, but to become a pro player now, I would say probably takes about 2 years of work. I could see you doing it faster than that because there are so many resources out on plonket.net and stuff like that, but that that would probably be my estimation. Geo, probably the best NMPZ player in the world right now, asks, if you were forced to delete every one of your videos except for one, which one would you save? So I think that my favorite may be GeoGuessr Pro's versus photoshopped images. Either that or my video with Dream, but what I would say is that my best ever video is in the works right now. It is going to be by far and away my best video and the magnum opus of this channel. So guys, stay tuned. I can't say anything more, but it will be a premiere and it will be out in the next few months, so stay tuned. Zara asked, what channels do I watch on YouTube the most? GeoGuessr and non-GeoGuessr. And I have to say, I'm a terminal YouTube addict. I don't watch any TV shows or anything. I've been YouTube pilled since I was like 14 years old. It is my main form of entertainment. So I definitely watch a lot of channels, but it's probably easier to say the GeoGuessr channels I watch. To be honest, it's probably not that surprising, but I don't watch too much GeoGuessr content. I do watch a bunch of Rainbolt stuff. I watch Jake sometimes. I watch CG sometimes as well. If Geography Challenges ever releases a video, I'll likely watch that. And if I'm trying to watch something in German, I'll watch Lenly or Kodiak because that can be a good way of practicing my skills. But to be honest, I don't watch too much GeoGuessr YouTube these days. As for normal channels, I'll just go through my hotbar here and list some off. So firstly, I'll actually give a shout out to my friend Chris Borge. I actually appear in some of his videos because we are actually good friends and went to high school together. So let me know if you've actually watched some of his videos. They're really good, I gotta say. No bias here. These are really nice. Atrix, another one. I don't really watch Twitch, so I've never really seen him on there, but I really enjoy the clips he puts on YouTube. I'm not really a news man, so this is kind of how I stay up to date with some current affairs stuff, and I think it's a really good channel. Jumpman, and you could also put Total Running Productions in this. I, for whatever reason, watch a lot of athletics content. I literally didn't have an interest in the sport, but it's just one of these YouTube rabbit holes you go down, so shout outs to those two. I think their channels are really good. Alex O'Connor. So I mentioned that I'm a Christian, and even though Alex O'Connor is an atheist, I still really enjoy his videos and podcasts. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a philosophy major, and so this stuff naturally interests me, and he's a really good quality thinker, so I like his channel. Geopold, shout outs to Geopold, man. I mean, really funny channel. You really can't say too much more than that. Will Anderson, bro, I love these Scrabble videos. They really like kind of tickle the GeoGuessr itch for me, like in the same way that I used to watch GeoWizard videos, I watch Will Anderson videos. Does that make sense? They're not even that similar. I don't know, but this guy's channel is really good. Italian Bach, this guy's just funny. I don't know. Like the videos are just reactions, but the dude just makes me laugh out loud, so yeah. Ornapixel, of course, I'm watching a lot for Counter-Strike stuff. And finally, PVK for philosophy and religion type stuff. If you've ever watched this channel, comment, because that's a crazy connection. Definitely one of my favorite channels though. Okay, that was a pretty long answer. Also, I kind of just chose these channels at random. There are definitely other ones I could have chosen as well. But as I said, YouTube is a main hobby of mine, so had to put you guys on. Next one comes from Will Pro Video Game Player number 69. What is your favorite dinosaur? I think it's the Brachiosaurus. Probably Brachiosaurus or Stegosaurus. I'm not quite sure. I've never been a dinosaur man, but I think they're my two favorites. Armani asks, what is your dream concert? Had to answer Armani on this one. I think my dream concert is Haruka Nakamura with a full choir and ensemble, because I've watched videos of that on his channel and it's literally goosebumps. But if you don't know the Japanese composer Haruka Nakamura, check him out. One of my all-time favorite artists. Boxwhale5877 asks, did you ever think you'd be as big as you are on YouTube? I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I did not think I would ever have 250,000 subscribers. It is crazy. Thank you again. And I think that's a good way to round it out, because Frozen Platypus asks, is the Q&A over? And I pronounce the Q&A well and truly over. Yeah, guys, to wrap up, don't forget the merch. I think it looks really good. You'll be seeing it in videos because I'll be wearing it, but it'll be live as this video goes up, as I mentioned, so check that out in the description. And guys, a heartfelt thank you for 250k subs. It's hard to, get the right emotion across via the camera, but I really am grateful for you guys. God bless you all. And thank you for watching my channel. As I said, the magnum opus of the channel is in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that. And guys, thank you for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you guys in a video very soon. Till next time, and goodbye.